Hey everybody, and welcome to Real Film Talk, a show about everything from the biggest blockbuster hits to award-winning indie darlings. We like to look at today's top films a bit more critically than your average viewer, putting my film studies degree to the test. I'm your host, Cassie Bauer, and today I'm joined by Noah Kuhnball.
Hello.
Noah is no longer a film studies major, but instead he is a film studies graduate from Winona State, who's here to offer some professional insight on today's film and later tell us a bit about his job in the field. So Noah, I would like to just take a sec for you to introduce yourself.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan of the show.
Shoot, thanks.
Yeah, finally get to be on. My name is Noah. I graduated in May of 2023 with a degree in film studies and creative digital media. And I work for a company in Rochester, Minnesota called MediaCore. I am a corporate videographer. And basically that just means I shoot and edit videos, whether it be company stories. We've done videos for Bosch. They do automotive parts. We've done videos for a lot of construction companies, lots of law firms. We do all that type of video work.
Wow, that sounds very professional.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know what we're talking about today?
I do. We're talking about Priscilla.
Yes. We're talking about an award-winning director and her latest film about none other than the King of Rock. It's not actually about him, but rather his wife, Priscilla Presley. This film is based on the memoir of the real-life Mrs. Presley wrote called Elvis and Me. Coppola's film documents Priscilla's life when she is with Elvis, starting all the way back in 1957 at a diner on a German Air Force base, and follows their complicated lives all the way up until their divorce. This is a calm, collective biopic simply titled Priscilla. So I would like to open up with just some initial thoughts of the film. Give us some of your takes, Noah.
All right. I saw the film at a local theater in Rochester, called Pop's Art Theater, and never been there before, and I highly recommend anybody listening to go there. It's a little theater, only one theater, only like one screen, and they show like a lot of A24 films, and so yeah, just highly recommend going and checking out there. Yeah, I'm sure they do, and they host a lot of like film festivals apparently there as well, like film screenings, I believe.
Yeah.
Or they at least promote them.
I believe it was previously known as the Grey Duck Theater, and it used to be like a movie theater, a coffee shop, but then they rebranded, and it's super cool looking in there. Like they've got like records and like retro arcade games, and yeah, it's really fun. I also recommend people check it out.
Yeah, and they had kind of like normal seating, not like typical movie theater seating, but they had like chairs, and they had also couches and like more comfy chairs as well, intermixed. That was pretty cool. It was nice little change of pace, and we were the only four of us in there.
Yeah, it's a small theater.
Yeah. So yeah.
Nice.
Anyways, about the film.
Yeah.
The film, I really enjoyed it. It was really nice to see Priscilla's side of the story about the legend Elvis, because he is put up on this pedestal as like a very just a heartthrob and like just the king of rock. King of rock. And nobody has really told, well, from my limited knowledge, I haven't seen anything about his kind of bipolar, no, not bipolar, just like,
but yeah, sort of the
anger management issues.
Yeah, how the complicated ways that he deals with fame and like how it affects the people around him.
Yeah, and that especially with Priscilla, how he treated her kind of from the beginning, and she was just kind of enthralled with him and just didn't see his flaws even when they were separated in Germany. She didn't see those flaws because she was so starstruck by him and so in love
And I
with this
think
man.
it's important to note that when they first met, like he was already like so famous. They met, I believe he was 24 and she was 14, mind you. They are 10 years apart. She was a ninth grader when they met. But yeah, he was already well on his way to fame. And that's when they started their relationship. So that definitely has complicated sort of power dynamics that are happening between them that definitely make for a really interesting watch and a perspective we don't see often.
Yeah. Yeah, and he knew that she was a ninth grader. Like, he asked.
Yeah,
In the film, he's like, "Are you a junior, senior?" I was like, ninth."
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just like, oh.
There was a part kind of during their first meeting. Not even Elvis had invited her to a party. It was like somebody who worked for Elvis or like a general or something had
officer.
invited her to meet Elvis because they were from the same hometown or they were from the same state. And then at this like small gathering that he had, aka a big party, he's like, let's go somewhere a little bit more quiet. Like, let's go up to my room. And it's like, that's just coded so strangely. And like, it just gives, I feel like, the audience such an icky feeling about it. And you're like, oh, okay, this is not the Elvis that everybody has known and loved. This is a side of Elvis we don't see.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, just you feel gross. Yeah, and I was just like, oh. And then it just gets worse from there. Like, you just see his abuse, physical and emotional.
Yeah.
Where she is like, kind of, what's the term where like you fall in love with your captor?
Oh, like Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah, kind of. It's almost like that.
Yeah.
Where like she's just in love with this like mean or awful person, and she just
Yeah.
and then she finally realizes, and
yeah, by the end of the film, so it kind of takes us through this slow, like I said, it's kind of like a calm and collected sort of version of this. The pacing is very gradual, takes us through and documents their relationship all like so strictly from her perspective. Like, you rarely see what anybody else might be thinking, but I think that forced, limited perspective makes for a really interesting story, like I said, that we haven't seen before. But then it ends, and I want to talk about this a little bit later too, but it ends really anticlimactically, I feel. And it sort of is just like, she leaves him, and that's that. The film ends. It's sort of like you see this, like you said, it's this gradual abuse and like everything that she's been put through, and now they have kids together, and she's like, I've had enough, and leaves, and then the film ends.
We're doing spoilers?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Well,
Audience.
I mean, if anybody knows anything about Elvis
Yeah.
and Priscilla,
Yeah.
did you know a lot about their dynamic at all?
Just from the movie Elvis with Austin Butler. And we'll talk about that later, but Elvis is portrayed very differently in both films.
Yeah.
So,
It's so drastically different.
yeah. What were your thoughts? Initial thoughts on the film?
I thought it was really wonderfully shot. It had a relatively low budget. It was like 20 million, which I mean isn't like the biggest or the smallest budget, I guess. It's pretty middle of the row. But it created just such a very stunning film to look at without these like big budget stars or like big budget effects or anything. They didn't do any kind of like aging effects as they progressed through time. It was all done pretty practically. It's just like refreshing to see a film that like tells the story strictly through like the cinematic form and through like cinematic language. And it's from a really prominent female director right now. She's done, Sofia Coppola has done other films like Lost in Translation and Marie Antoinette, and there's another one that's pretty popular, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Yeah, so having kind of this notable women-led story with women behind the camera as well, I think makes her a very interesting watch, especially for, like you said, like someone who is just so publicly well known. Like Elvis is such an enigma almost, and we don't see sort of the other side of him until I think it's so interesting that both Elvis and Priscilla have come out within like the same time period that are really just breaking down who the man is and what the people around him think and his impact on American and world culture. I kind of went on some tangents there, but I liked the film a lot. I thought, yeah, it was shot really beautifully, and the acting was absolutely phenomenal. I do want to go into detail about that in a little bit, but one thing to note that I think was very beneficial to the film was that it just had such a limited perspective strictly through Priscilla, and they emphasized that I feel like a lot through the locations. Once Elvis and Priscilla move in together, you don't really see Priscilla anywhere but Graceland. You see her basically like in the living room and in her bedroom, in her and Elvis's bedroom. Even when she's like outside, they tell her to go inside. They tell her that they don't want to get unwarranted attention or whatever the like housekeepers say.
Even
So
Elvis's dad too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because she was sheltered. Like the Colonel, who is never shown in the movie. In Elvis, he is shown as
He's
the
a
bad
big character.
guy. But in this movie, the Colonel is only talked about and never shown. But
He's on the phone with the Colonel once,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But
I was like, oh, I know
yeah,
who that is.
the Colonel was never wanted Priscilla to be seen with Elvis in public because Elvis needed to be the single and available figure that women will throw themselves at. So
Yeah, the heartthrob.
yeah, so Priscilla was not really allowed out, and the film was shot entirely from her perspective. Elvis, you never see Elvis or any other character.
It's like POV.
It's only Priscilla, right? Was there any shots or scenes with Priscilla not in it?
I don't think so.
This movie solely about her with no other really main characters. Because Elvis is not even really a main character. He is, but like he's never in any scenes without Priscilla.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So
I'm trying to think, and I really don't think he is. I'm wondering if the autobiography it's based on, Elvis and Me, is like if it's adapted really accurately from that book, because Elvis and Me is real life Priscilla's memoir. It's her autobiography. So I'm assuming that must be pretty accurate. But when I was doing my research, a lot of people were saying that it's like, oh, you can really just see how in love they were and blah, blah, blah. But the movie paints a much different picture than what I was reading about the book. I haven't read it, but yes, the limited locations I think are really notable. Graceland is like just this place of isolation for her. And I think that's a theme within a lot of Coppola's films as well. There's just these themes of isolation. Like Lost in Translation has I believe it has like a movie star. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's got like a movie star that's just very isolated in their fame. And then Marie Antoinette, the famous queen. Is she a queen? Again, somebody who's very prominently in the public eye. What did you think? There was a scene in the film. I think there's so many scenes that are on the bed, and none of them are sexual. They're all just like they're just sitting in bed talking.
yeah,
Or Elvis is like, you need to read these weird philosophy books, and she's like, I really don't want to do that. What did you interpret about that? Do you have any thoughts?
yeah. So in the book Elvis and Me, she also talks about this. She talks about how they kiss, but they never engage in like petting and like this almost like, but it never led to actual intercourse with each other. It was just like it's like he was saving himself, but even
While simultaneously having affairs with multiple women.
yes. And in the book, he says, I'm not saying we can't do other things. It's just the actual encounter. I want to save it. And
You
then,
did research.
and then and Priscilla adds, fearful of not pleasing him, of destroying my image as his little girl, I reassigned myself to the weight instead of consuming our love in the usual way. He began teaching me other means of pleasing him. We had a strong connection, much of it sexual, with two of us created some exciting and wild times.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he just like wanted like this perfect little girl
Which I think
at home.
is really interesting, thinking about him calling her a little girl, because I think that happens so much in the movie. I know when I was doing my notes for this, and I was reading like reviews and everything, some reviewers brought that up about how she's always referred to as like my little girl or like baby, but like, oh, you're just a baby, not as in like an endearing way, but it's like almost a reductive way. It's like, oh, you don't understand, you're too young, it's like just really reducing her, and separating them even more.
Yeah, it's like every time that she wants to do anything with him, he turns her down, and when she decides to stand up for herself, then she gets defensive. No, he gets defensive, and then basically blames on her, gaslights her. He
Very
gaslights her the whole,
manipulative.
manipulates her the whole time. Like he's basically training her not to stand up to him, because every time she stands up to him, he blames everything on her, and it's her fault,
Yeah.
and that she's being crazy, and that these because she reads articles of him having are they like will they won't they about these actresses he's doing movies with while she's stuck at home.
And he won't let her leave. Like she asks, like she's like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna get a job at the boutique," and he's like, "What if I need you?
Yeah,
You need to be home."
your job is to be home for me when I call.
Yeah.
Like that is, like, he only wants he doesn't care about her life. He just cares that she's there for him. And won't let her, like, and when she wants to visit him in L.A. during the movies, he says no, because because the Colonel says no. It's never Elvis is saying no. It's always the Colonel.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just so interesting that this version of Elvis is just so different. I feel like than the one that's in most people's heads. You know, whether if it's from his music or from his films or even the Elvis movie last year, or just him as a icon in American pop culture, but you just see such a different version. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, like you said earlier, you are a corporate videographer, right? Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
my title.
you have a lot of knowledge about camera work, framing, editing. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts in regards to the way the film was shot and edited.
It's the one thing that I came across, because the film looks like it was shot on film, and all of
Oh,
Coppola,
really?
all of Coppola's films before this have been shot on film.
How can you tell?
It's just like grainy, but like
Okay.
they added but this film they shot digital, and the reason was just purely financial. Like there was no like reason to not shoot on film, just because they just didn't have the budget for it, and so this was apparently her first film, or one of like her first films that she hasn't shot on film.
Oh, wow.
And it's just interesting that she still added like a film grain effect to the whole film to make it look like it's
Yeah.
shot on film. And then, yeah, so that was in my research I found that interesting. And then I like the use of practical cameras, like the characters are holding the cameras and they're getting like the...
Yeah, like when there's a scene when they're at the pool and then some people just have, what are those, like Super 8 cameras or something?
Yep.
Yeah, they've got just Super 8 cameras, and then you can see the footage they're recording as they're just shooting their friends around.
Yep.
Were there any other instances where there were practical cameras like that?
Possibly when it was like the press.
Oh, sure.
I think like when they're coming in and out of things, I think it might have switched to like a POV of like a news or a press person, like a reporter's camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any for sure. Besides, like, that pool scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
But I always think that's really fun.
Mm-hmm. I really like how the film was paced. It was just so gradual, and it let things sort of build up very slowly. And I feel like the camera would also, it just never rushed into anything. The camera would linger on shots just to let us like soak up everything in the frame. I'm imagining, I think it's in the opening when she's slowly like walking on the carpet and you just see like her feet press into this like pink shag carpet, and it's just like slow and like detailed, and it just really like lets you soak up that image, I guess, of like her getting ready. And it starts with her walking on the carpet, and then it transitions into her doing her makeup and things like that. But shots like that just let you sort of sit with the image and be able to soak up the details that are there. I can really appreciate that. And then another moment that I really liked is when there was a scene when Elvis and Priscilla have just been like staying in their room, and then it's just a montage of a housekeeper bringing in and bringing out food, and it's just like the food tray, and then all the food is gone, and then somebody comes and picks it up and puts a new one down. I liked that as just like a time passing device. I don't know.
So another thing that was very interesting about the film is cinematography wise is because of their height difference.
Oh, yeah.
The film was not shot with a lot of wide shots. It was a lot of close shots, medium shots, and it never really showed like if it was their full body, they were laying down.
Yeah.
They were rarely standing next to each other. And when they did, it was like, oh wow, he's huge.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think the casting choice there was really, I think it was just a great casting choice because they're such different heights, it really emphasizes the power dynamics. And just so we're clear, Jacob Elordi, who played Elvis in this film, was the taller one. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Although I think they tried to make Kaylee Spaney a lot taller because they gave her like huge hair, which I'm sure Priscilla had too. But at one point she had a massive beehive.
And the cinematographer also said they used like soap boxes and like apple boxes, like make her like taller.
Oh, really?
In some scenes to like help with that fact that she was tiny.
Yeah.
Also 14. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like probably make her normal height when she's younger.
Yeah.
Give her soap
Right.
boxes. Yeah.
To kind of like show that progression over time. Excellent point. Any thoughts about the editing, pacing of it? No?
Nope.
That's okay.
You?
I mean,
Should I ask you? Any thoughts on the editing or pacing of the film?
I just really like, kind of just like I mentioned earlier, it's very slow and meticulous. It doesn't rush through any scenes. It's just paced very gradually. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't ever. There was never like any high intensity action, like fast cuts. And yeah, and then like there was like a build like to the movie, but like you said, the ending was just and it's done. Like, you want to talk about the ending, or do you want to wait for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it just ends with her leaving Elvis and then driving off.
Yeah. There's no like, I feel like a lot of times in biopics, and also maybe we could talk about the genre of biopics because that's one of my favorite genres to talk about. But like it doesn't have sort of like that credit kind of like where they are now sort of thing. It doesn't really give us sort of like what she did after Elvis. It's really just focused on her dynamic with Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
It starts when she meets him and ends when she leaves him.
Yeah, which was my main gripe with the film, is that it paints Priscilla as her life was only valuable when she was with Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
It's only worth noting when she's with Elvis.
Sure.
I feel like that's just not true. I feel like she had a great life after Elvis. It would have been nice to like see what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And I know her daughter recently died this year.
Mm-hmm.
This year,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she was an actress as well.
I think so.
So I don't know. Would have been. Yeah, I just wish they would have explored and gave her character a better conclusion.
Because I think she's like a big like animal rights activist now, and her Instagram is kind of crazy though. You should look at her Instagram, and somebody needs to teach her how to do social media. But, but yeah, like she is very active on Instagram, and she does performances, she does appearances, and she posts a lot about animal rights. And I mean, they got divorced in 1973, so she was still pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively to now, and had a long life ahead of her. So I can get that kind of perspective, because it really just like limits her value to when she was with the king of pop, of rock. King of pop is somebody else.
That's
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Yep.
Oopsie.
Oops.
I did get Michael Jackson and Elvis confused when I was a kid though. I thought they were the same person.
They are. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
I know, it's nuts. Yeah, because the film starts with her in a diner drinking a
Milkshake.
amazing looking Coke.
Oh, it was a Coke.
With the Coke with the little spiral straw on it. Like that looks so
Yes.
good. I don't really like Coke, but that made me want to drink Coke. 'Cause that product placement was like there.
Mm-hmm.
I almost walked out of the theater and grabbed a Coke and walked back in, but no, did not. It started instantly. Wanted to meet Elvis. Ends leaving Elvis.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, the shot had a lot of not the shot, but the movie had a lot of stationary shots.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry that I'm speaking out of order again, because we're now moved on. But I'm going back to cinematography. A lot of stationary shots. Yeah. And then not much movement to them. Not very many like dramatic shifts in like, oh, that's handheld now.
Yeah.
I feel like when I watch films now, I see, oh, that's handheld. And
sure, yeah.
And it's usually like done well, and this film just didn't have any of that, and so that was.
What effect do you think that gave?
Well, that there was like handheld is like usually symbolizes like a loss of control in the character or in the environment, or there's this high stress, high tension, and like Elvis was like always in control, and like I don't know, it's almost like he's like. No, I didn't know that doesn't make sense. I don't want.
He is controlling her.
Yeah. But like I was gonna say, like he's like controlling the movie, even though he's not, because it's like that's not how that works. So I didn't want to sound stupid, but I said it anyway. So, oops.
Art is up for interpretation, no?
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about Kaylee Spaney, who played Priscilla. What did you think of her performance? Because I have several thoughts.
I thought she was 14, and then the actor never changed. I was like, is she not a child? Like this, the makeup department was insane.
And I think it's also a lot to do with like hair and costuming too. Because, so Kaylee Spaney, she is a 25-year-old. She is a 25-year-old woman, and she plays Priscilla since she was 14, all the way until her like 30s or so, whenever she gets a divorce.
Took a long time to film.
Yeah.
15 years she played. Yeah, it's crazy.
This movie took a long time.
That's nuts. Yeah.
I always thought, have you seen Mary Poppins?
Yep.
So you know how at the end of Mary Poppins, the like old bank teller that Mr. Banks works for is also played by Dick Van Dyke. my mom told me that. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. They had to wait so long to finish this movie because he was so old. I like didn't get that there's like costuming and makeup. Yeah. It's like this movie took forever to make.
I thought she did really well.
Yes,
and, there's one point in the movie where I was like, is that a different actor? Because Elvis told Priscilla to dye her hair black because it really brings out her eyes. Mm-hmm. And so she did that for him. And then when they started to kind of separate, not really separate, but when she wasn't really a part of his life, like she would be with him, but like she wasn't really under his like control anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's when her hair, she must have stopped dyeing it, and it was brown again. And I was like, I think you and I were just confused because we thought it was a different actress, even though it was like the same person, just the hair, hair, and like it was like down, and she was wearing like 70s clothing, and so like it just felt like just a whole different character, even though it was just the same person, just brown hair.
Yeah, props to the hair and makeup department because they really evolved her look a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think her acting also kind of gave way into those shifts in age because when she's in 9th grade, when she's so young, she can play that really well. And she's just got this youthful charm to her. And then as she ages, you just see her the acting just becomes so much more mature and more confident in herself and things like that. So she can really she has this range that I feel like you don't usually see in movies like this. They'll usually just get somebody else to play the younger version type of thing. And Kaylee Spaney isn't really super big right now. She's been in a few TV shows, like she was in Vice and The Mayor of Easttown, which were both like relatively big shows, but I don't think she was a major character. And then when I was doing some research for this, she was on The Tonight Show for this film, and it was like her first like talk show appearance. So she hasn't really done the whole like press cycle, the whole leading role in a film, which I think this could potentially be a really big break for her, and I hope it can get her more accomplished film work in the future, because I think she has a lot of potential. Do you think it's Oscar worthy? Do you follow the Oscars much?
I don't, so I'm not like because I think films are great. But the films I think are great are like ones that critics don't think are great. I'm a very like, there's a term, it's like mass media. No, it's like films made for mass media. Oh. Like, I'm a sucker for those. Like, I love like bad films. Not bad films, but just like so bad that they're good. Like,
films made for like
everybody.
A common denominator.
Yeah, like Marvel. Mass media.
You do love your Marvel.
Yeah, I know.
You sounded so sad.
Well, because it's not good anymore. I mean, it's not just like I feel like I miss the Avengers. Okay.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I miss the Avengers. Okay. So yeah, I don't know because it didn't really have like any crazy like ideas or like new ways of doing anything. Okay. So I don't know if it's like best picture worthy or like if there's any like there wasn't like any like standout actresses or actors.
You don't think
like she did a great job,
but not like award Oscar worthy?
I don't think so. I don't know. She's like,
all right, we'll see about that.
Oh, is it nominated for something?
I don't know. Oh. Not yet. Nominations haven't come out yet for award shows, but I get really hyped for award shows. So I kind of feel like this is like the type of film that the Academy loves.
It is.
Like the Academy loves just a dissection about its own people. Like they love movies about Hollywood. Why do you think La La Land won every single award? Because it's about Hollywood. Same with like Elvis last year. It won a whole ton. Babylon also last year. It's about Hollywood. So they like movies about famous people. So I think this is the type of movie that would get nominated for awards. Whether it will or not, I know there's a lot of good stuff that has come out in this last half of the year. Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Maestro, Barbenheimer. Wish will probably not get anything. Maybe Best Animated Feature, but even then.
Yep. The Nun 2.
The Nun 2. Yeah, those are the type of movies the Academy eats up.
They love horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
That one I will not be seeing. The trailer scared me.
Yeah, you don't do horror.
I was like, oh, a Thanksgiving movie. Oh, it's not. It is, but
A scary Thanksgiving
Addison
movie.
Rae's in it. That's wild. She was another bad movie.
But you like bad movies, we've established.
Yeah, but bad good movies. Yeah.
Okay. What did you think about Jacob Elordi's performance? He played Elvis.
I didn't like it. I don't know. Austin Butler was just like the best Elvis. His whole voice changed for the movie.
Yeah.
Like he became.
Oh, I've seen the interviews.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. He became Elvis, and it was just like a amazing like transformation that he did so much voice training and put so much work into becoming the character and like learning to sing like Elvis, learning to move like Elvis. I feel like every time I saw this Elvis, what's his name?
Jacob Elordi.
Jacob Elordi be Elvis, like try his hip thing, it just looked foul. Like I don't know. It looked. I just didn't like it, and like the voice, like coming from the amazing performance of Austin Butler to this, it was kind of disappointing. I mean, it's hard to like top Austin Butler because he was like the perfect casting for Elvis.
Yeah.
And like I just don't think I don't think it even comes close to the performance of Elvis the movie.
Yeah, I think they're very different. You get different. I feel like I've kind of emphasized this a lot, but they're just such two different versions of Elvis. You have Austin Butler's Elvis in the Baz Luhrmann film, and Baz Luhrmann films are always very extravagant, over the top. They're very colorful, or at least they have a lot of red. But this film is a lot just more muted, and it just shows this just kind of darker side that Baz Luhrmann's film doesn't come close to. Baz Luhrmann kind of depicts Elvis as sort of this just like innocent young man that was just kind of swindled into fame through the Colonel, through Tom Parker, and just wasn't really allowed to make decisions for himself. But then I'm wondering if, like, in this film, it almost seems like those same restrictions are now placed on Priscilla. So, like, does it sort of filter down where it's like Elvis is, I feel like abused is kind of a harsh word, but like really manipulated by the Colonel. And then he then needs to feed that into someone else, and it goes into Priscilla.
Trickle down economics.
Yeah.
It's the Reagan way. Doesn't work, but
Reaganomics.
Reaganomics.
So I wonder if that's how it happened. That's only speculation here. But you just see such different versions of Elvis between these two films. And I do concur that the performance is far better in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis because that's about him. Whereas this film is about Priscilla. So I guess it makes sense that there's not as much like time and dedication put into finding out who Elvis is. But it's just about Priscilla's interpretation of that man that we all know. I think it's just, like I said earlier, it's so strange how these two films, Elvis and Priscilla, also the one-word titles, brilliant. I want to do a double feature of them so bad. how they came out within just over a year of each other. Do you think that, I feel like they had to know about each other existing while they were in production, you know?
Yeah. Because I think this, Priscilla was filmed in October of 2022 and ended in December. What, do you know when Elvis was filmed? There's a thing called Google that we can look up.
You're so right.
When was Elvis filmed? Filming started for Elvis in 2020, so January 2020, in Australia.
I did know they shot in Australia. Baz Luhrmann is an Aussie.
He's an Aussie. Kit Bondi would love that. He loves it. You know, Kit Bondi and Cooper Lipsky love a good Australian accent.
Yeah.
Shout out those boys. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that Priscilla knew about Elvis, but I don't think the film Priscilla and
Yes,
the
yeah.
film Elvis knew. I think, actually, I can't speak for them, but I'm guessing that Priscilla would have known about the Elvis film,
Yeah.
but maybe the Elvis film didn't know about the Priscilla film.
Because Priscilla was a producer on this film, but not on Elvis.
Which is also interesting.
So, how much of it is true?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't know. No idea.
But you'd think that, like, with development and everything, like, films are in development long before they start shooting. I just feel like there had to have been some kind of conversation about it.
Yeah.
And I wonder how they both got made in such short spans of each other. But it makes for a very interesting conversation like this one, so I'll take it. How do you think the two films compare?
When I saw Elvis, I wanted to watch it right away. The second time. Because I just loved the performance of Austin Butler.
I was obsessed with him for a while.
Yeah, and it was just, and then I watched all of his interviews about like
Austin Butler or Elvis?
Austin Butler,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
I watched the pre-voice training and the post-voice training. I was like, wow, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And then I watched a bunch of videos of how they like merged Elvis's voice with Austin Butler's voice.
That's
Give him
really
that
cool.
real like authentic sound, and then how he like mastered like just the way he moves, and so I just really loved the character of Elvis in that movie. But then this movie, I just liked how it just like explained the other side that Elvis like kind of ignores, like the film Elvis kind of ignores.
Right, yeah.
Is about Priscilla.
They're so different.
They're so different.
In every way. Cinematography is so different. Mise en scène, pulling out a big film term.
Yeah.
So different.
Missing scene.
No, don't do that.
Missing scene.
That hurts my film studies brain.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and the films were just totally different, and they're just meant for different audiences. Like Elvis is a mass media type film. Priscilla, I would say, is more targeted and more for, I don't know, Elvis is flashy. Elvis has Doja Cat.
Yeah.
Elvis has
Eminem.
That was so random. Elvis has what?
So on the topic of music also, Priscilla had no Elvis songs in it.
Yeah.
There was 0. I think the only time there was an Elvis song was when he was playing piano.
Every time he would sing to her.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then I think there was a music box that had a little
Yep.
Love Me
The
Tender.
jukebox, yeah.
Yeah. But stripping Elvis away from the thing that made him famous, his songs, makes him just seem like a bad person.
That's a good, yeah. That's a great observation. How do Elvis and Priscilla compare to you?
I mean, I think the biggest difference is just the visual style of it. Like you were saying too, Elvis is so flashy. Baz Luhrmann is a very flashy director. There's such careful attention paid to costuming, to color, to lighting, to everything that makes up the mise en scène, it's just so... No, don't. It's just so over the top and vibrant. The editing is just so over the top. I feel like I keep saying that, but...
Vibrant? Is editing also over on top of the vibrant?
But you know, that's just like the Baz Luhrmann way. Like, it's just very extra.
His name sounds like a Bollywood thing. Baz Luhrmann sounds like he should be in Bollywood movies.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's an Aussie.
He's an Aussie.
He's an Aussie.
But Priscilla is just very calm and refined. But what would you rate the film?
Probably 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah.
That's a cop-out answer.
Why?
I just feel like 7. I guess you said 7.5.
Because, like, it's not, like, the best film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's not an average film. Like, it's good. Like, it's, like, 5 is average.
You think 5 is an average film?
Out of 10?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Like, 5 is, like, it's not... I mean, I guess probably average is probably like a 6. Like, a lot of films are really good. You know? I mean, like, films... I guess some films are bad.
Some films are bad.
Yeah. But, like... I don't know. To
Yeah.
me, it was a 7. I know it might be 7.5. It might be a cap out, but... Yeah. Like, I liked it. I didn't love it. But I really enjoyed it.
What would you rather rewatch, Priscilla or Elvis?
Rewatch?
Yeah.
I'd rather rewatch Priscilla because I have seen Elvis twice, but just solely because I've seen it twice.
Oh, okay. But you think Elvis has better rewatch potential?
I think so because I instantly stopped. Like I said earlier, I wanted to watch Elvis again. Because how like I just really enjoyed it.
I did see it twice in theaters.
But now because of you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was when I worked at a movie theater back home, and I went to go see it twice.
R.I.P.
I know, it's so sad that the theater I worked at closed down. So sad.
Is it bulldozed yet?
It's pretty torn apart the last time I drove by it.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then whenever I would clean theaters, I would always like duck into whatever Elvis showing and like watch like 5 minutes of it.
Oh, so you've seen it more than twice.
Well, I mean, I've seen the full thing twice.
Oh. Have you seen little parts?
Yeah.
I see.
It's so good. I
Yeah.
love it a lot.
But now, I don't think I'd want to watch Elvis currently because I think it's been soured by Priscilla.
Because it's like, ooh, maybe
like,
Elvis
ooh.
wasn't that great of a guy.
Maybe this film lied to me? Maybe this film isn't all that true?
Yeah. Changed your perspective a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's an important film to watch if you're an Elvis fan
Yes.
because it gives you more context. So I think Real Film Talk would recommend it.
Yes. Who's that? Just kidding.
You're
Oh, wait, I'm
funny.
here in the studio.
Now I would like to hard transition into a discussion of your line at work. Like I said earlier, like we talked about earlier, you're a WSU graduate. And remind us what you studied while you were here.
I graduated with a degree of arts, and I studied film studies as a major, and also mass communications with an emphasis in creative digital media.
Is that how you say that?
Yeah, technically.
That sounds better. 'Cause I always just say CDM.
Yeah, your mass communications. You don't want to say communications because communications is a cop-out major, apparently. Like, what does that even mean? You study how people talk to each other? I don't know. Apparently, you don't want to study communications because that's cop-out, apparently.
Okay, so mass communication, emphasis in creative digital media, and journalism in my case.
In your case, yes.
Yes, okay. Excellent.
I can't write very well.
Your handwriting isn't great.
No. Yes, but can't film write. Like journalism, like you.
Thanks.
Crazy.
Well, but what you
Good
do...
thing I don't have to.
Tell us what you do.
Okay, so, like I said, I work for MediaCore, and we are a video production company located in Rochester. We specialize in videos for companies, and what that means is a company might want to tell their story. So That's what we call a company story. It's crazy. It's called, so we do a lot of company story videos. So company story videos. So
Do you want to say company story one more time?
company story videos. Yes, I thought I mumbled, so I said it 4 times or 3 times, whatever. So we do a lot of those. Also, our other main one that we do is recruitment videos. So company story videos. I said it again. Are videos. That's all. Just kidding.
Excellent.
They're videos about Okay, so a company will hire us, and
Yes.
because they want to tell their story.
Stop it right
Company
now.
Story. Okay, so we usually interview executives from the company and get their side of how they were founded, what they do, why they do it, who they service. We do a lot of construction, a lot of med spas apparently.
Med spa.
I don't even know what that means because I haven't shot one yet. But like on our repertoire, we have tons of med spa videos.
What's a med spa?
It's like spas. I don't know.
Huh.
Like
Crazy.
yeah,
Like where you go to get like massages and facials and stuff?
yeah, like to get beautified. I don't know. So we do a lot of videos like that where we're telling the company like their history and what they do. And then we also do a lot of recruitment videos, which are, it's pretty obvious, but it's when companies want to hire more employees, so they hire us to
Yes.
interview them. Again, usually it's HR people. Usually we interview employees of the company, and then get their side of the story, why they want to work here.
So, do you want to walk us through how you got this job?
Yes, I would.
Great.
So I was nearing my end of term, end of my degree. I really enjoyed sports, like sports videography, and I really wanted to go into sports. But sports is super hard to get into with minimal experience, and I have minimal experience only from college and filming basketball, football. So I knew I should probably expand my reach into different jobs. So I started looking for jobs. I used Indeed, LinkedIn, Teamwork, all those job searching sites to help me find these jobs, but I wasn't getting anything because, I was, but I wasn't getting anything serious or anything because I feel like just my application was just lost in a sea of other applications who were also very talented, and it's tough. Like job searching is tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's because it's a very competitive industry, and there are lots of talented people out there that can edit and shoot a video, and so you really have to sell yourself. And so my mom actually suggested this company called MediaCore, and I hadn't heard of them. And it turns out they're from my hometown of Rochester, and I checked out their website. They have awesome stuff, and saw the email for the CEO and the COO, Jake and Josh Langmaid, and I emailed them asking just saying who I was, and that I would like to maybe check them out, and that I'm looking for a job. And they emailed back pretty quickly and saying, hey, we like your stuff. I sent them my portfolio and my resume. And said, hey, we like your stuff. Would you like to come in for a meeting? And so I came in for a meeting, met them, and talked to them for a long time. It was a great like first initial interview type thing. And then they asked if I want to go out to lunch. I went out to lunch with them and one of their videographers, who's now my coworker Dakota. And we had lunch with them, and then it was just great. We were just talking about life, and I just made a real connection with them instantly, just on my first like meeting. And then we went car shopping because they were looking to buy a production truck to haul their equipment. Whoops, spoilers! I have the job. All of their equipment around, and so it was a great first initial meeting. And it lasted like I think 4 or 5 hours. It was crazy. Wow. Like it was great. And then they said, "Hey, come. We'll meet up again in 2 weeks. We need to talk about you get like a plan together, like. So that I had like an official interview in the next 2 weeks where I job shadowed for the day. So I started in the morning, job shadowed with the team. So I met Damien, the other videographer, and I job shadowed them, helped them set up interviews. And then at the end of the day, I had an interview with Jake and Josh. And it was like a formal interview. And then they said they'll let me know. And I got sent a job offer within the next week. And I've been there now for 6 months.
Rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
That is a really great story, I feel like, about ways to get a job that might not be what people might think would happen.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are on these job search websites, and similar to you, they don't find luck, but there's other ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do you have any advice for people in the market for a job right now? Any advice for people graduating, looking for something in the field?
If you're in college and you have access to resources, I would highly recommend looking for a outside employment like aid. Like at when I want to say we had a person, his name was Marshall. I think he left and found a different position, but he was great. He helped me get an interview for a different company. It didn't work out because it wasn't what I really wanted to do, but it allowed me to get experience. So I would say use your resources if you're in college. If you're not in college, just reach out to companies you want to work for. Email them directly. Get your name and your resume to them directly rather than going through, like if you're able to get them directly, then I would go directly. You can also do both. Like you can say, hey, I applied on Indeed, and I just wanted to make sure that you see me, like, because I feel like people wanna be sought after. Like people want employees that want to work there.
Yep. So
if you show initiative in finding that job or wanting to work there, they're gonna see that and they're like, oh, maybe we should talk to this person. So I'd highly suggest reaching out to companies directly that you want to work for, as well as those job sites. I think they're useful because they have tons of jobs, but you also have to realize that's not the only way to get a job, and
they might give you a good idea of what you're looking for.
Yes, yeah, because you can look for what pay you might be getting for like an entry level film job, or any type of job really. Like it gives you like base pay and then what you should look for in your first job.
Yeah, that is really great advice.
Thank you.
Are you happy at your job?
I am. I just had a review today, and I was really nervous for it, and I did not have to be. Yep.
Noah's very good at his job.
Thanks.
So, Noah, I just want to thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Of course.
I really, really appreciate you coming on.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find you? Is there anything you want to plug?
You can find me at Noah Kuwala on Instagram. Just CASIDY Lynn Bauer. That's my name.
No, that's me.
You can find me at
MediaCorp.
MediaCorp. You can find me at like your local WalMarts, Targets, so anywhere local. I'll probably be there if you want to get in contact with me. You just wait there, and I'll find you. I also come to a lot of Home Depots.
Any of them?
Any of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, you can find me on my Letterboxd at Cassidy_Lynn. Noah has a Letterboxd too. He follows me.
I don't think so.
You can find him on my Letterboxd too. You should follow him also. You can read my work in the Winonan, where I write weekly film reviews. You can also head over to Film Obsessive, where I write more in-depth reviews, and you can also read some more longer-form analysis pieces of mine. You can tune in right here every other week on the POV Winona blog to hear a critical conversation about the latest film releases. Episodes are released every other Friday at noon. Bye.
Peace.